Namaste and good morning, children. Welcome to today's session. Hope you all are doing good. Children, in the first session of online classes, it is said social subject is divided into three units. That is, Unit 1 deals with geography, Unit 2 deals with history, and Unit 3 deals with civics. In the previous sessions, we have completed with two lessons of geography. Today, we are going to learn about a new lesson from history. The topic name is Studying the Past. So, in this topic, we are going to learn why to study past and who studies the past. Let us look into the introduction. Children, have you ever wondered how people lived in past? What did they eat? What kind of clothes did they wear? What kind of houses did they live? What games did the children play? And what kind of schools did they attend? The study of history helps us to find all the answers to all these questions. Let us know what is history. Children, look closely at the word history. Does it contain another word? Yes, it does. The word story is hidden in it. So, history is the story of people who lived in earlier times. Why study history? Because it is about the past, which is very important to understand the present. It motivates us to make the present world better place to live in. It helps us to learn about the great people, culture, art and architecture of the earlier times. To know and fully understand the world where we live in, we have to be aware of the past. Historians. A historian is a person who studies and writes about the past. To make studying history easy, historians divide history into two parts. That is, prehistory and history. Prehistory is before the invention of writing, whereas history is after the invention of writing. Let us learn about prehistory. At the beginning, man did not lead a settled life, but wandered from place to place. He did not know how to read and write. The period of man's existence for which we have no records is called prehistory. Information about prehistory depends upon the remains of tools, bones, pottery, and weapons that have been excavated. Let us know about history. History refers to the period after the invention of writing. The written records, dates, names of places and people written on bhojapatras, palm leaves or pillars are sources of information. History is generally categorized into three, namely ancient, medieval, modern. Ancient means olden times, medieval means middle period, modern means present times. Dates in history. Dates in history are the very important medium to understand about the events occurred during the period of time. And dates in history earlier were expressed in BC and AD. BC stands for before Christ and AD stands for Anno Domini. These are two Latin words meaning in the year of Lord. Nowadays, most historians use BCE instead of BC, CE instead of AD. BCE stands for before the Common Era, CE stands for Common Era. The years expressed in BCE are counted backwards. For example, 100 BCE comes before 99 BCE. The years expressed in CE are counted forward. For example, 99 CE comes before 100 CE. Let us try to find out time period between two dates. If both dates lie in same period, then those dates will be subtracted. Example, time period between 500 BCE and 200 BCE, the difference is 300 years. If both dates lie in different periods, then those dates will be added. Example, time period between 500 BCE and 200 CE, and the difference is 700 years. Children, here you have to remember that if both dates belong to same period, you have to subtract. If both dates belong to different periods, you have to add. Source materials to understand about the past and to study the past. When we talk about source materials, a question which arises in our mind is, how do we find out about something that took place thousands of years ago? We learn about it from the remains which people of that time have left behind. The archaeologists and historians studies these remains and tell us what might have happened in the past. The work of an archaeologist and a historian is similar to that of detective. Just as a detective to solve some mystery with help of clues, archaeologists and historians solve the mystery of the past with the help of historical clues, and they look at the clues such as a piece of writing, a wall painting, or even broken pots. From this, they slowly put together the history of the period, and these clues are the sources of history. These sources can be divided into two types, that is, archaeological and literary sources. Let us discuss in detail about archaeological sources. Materials of the past are buried deep under the earth, are either discovered by chance or archaeologists dig certain places and find ancient inscriptions, coins, pots, or buildings. The study of these remains tell the archaeologists about the religious, social, and cultural conditions of that time. For example, buildings excavated from Mohenjo-daro provide useful information about the Indus Valley civilization. Children, watch the coming up video and understand more about Indus Valley civilization.
Features of the Harappan civilization. Part 1. Cities of the Indus Valley. The cities of the Indus Valley were well-developed urban centers. The buildings were sturdy and made of burnt brick and stone. Evidence of town buildings like granaries, warehouses, and brick walls suggest a great deal of architectural planning and efficiency. Town planning. The Indus Valley people built their cities with proper planning and according to a set pattern. A typical city could house about 40,000 people. The city was generally divided into two sections, the upper town called the citadel and the lower town. The citadel was usually based on a mound or at an elevated position. It was possibly occupied by the members of the ruling class. Below the citadel lay a lower town containing brick houses which were inhabited by common people. Drainage system. The drainage system was so well planned that it could be compared with that of any modern city. Drains were built alongside the roads. Kitchens and bathrooms had drains which were connected to the street drains. These drains were covered with bricks and sometimes with stone slabs. The drainage system of Harappa is very unique, which indicates that Harappans paid a good deal of attention to health and cleanliness.
Children, let us discuss more about archaeological sources. First is inscriptions. Inscriptions are the writings which are engraved on rocks, pillars, clay tablets, the walls of the temples and caves. They tell us about the kings, the empires, achievements, as well as the society and the language of that period. The inscriptions of Ashoka's period tells us about his achievements in field of administration and the steps that he took, like building hospitals, wells, etc. for the welfare of the public. The inscriptions were put up in places where the common people could read them easily. The study of inscriptions is called epigraphy. Next, coins. In earlier times, coins were made of different materials like lead, copper, bronze, iron, silver, gold. They give us useful information about the art, religion, rulers, the use of different materials and different metals and the level of development of technology. The study of coins is called numismatics. Children, do you know coins of Indian rulers have been found in many countries, which indicates that India had trade relations with foreign countries. Next, monuments. Monuments are the remains of temples, stupas, palaces and forts. These ancient buildings help the historians to collect information about the social and economic life, the religious beliefs, dress, art forms and architecture of that time. Next, skeletons. Skeletons are also very useful source of information. The students of skeletal studies try to know every minute details about the skeletons and list their findings. For example, the skeleton of a woman generally has broader hip or pelvic area for childbearing. Jewelry found on the skeletons also helps in determining whether the skeleton belongs to a woman or a man. All these are archaeological source materials which help us to study the past and understand the past. Let us learn about literary sources. All written records of the past are known as literary sources or manuscripts. They are very important for the historians. Before the invention of paper, people wrote on dried palm leaves, bhojpatras, copper plates, etc. Let us look into some of the literary sources. Religious literature. Religious literature contains information about a particular religion. It consists of the Vedas of the Hindus in Sanskrit, Pitakas of Buddhists in Pali, and Angas of Jains in Prakrit language. They tell about the religious beliefs, society, customs, and traditions of that time. The Puranas and the epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata also provide useful information about that period. Next, non-religious literature. Non-religious literary source which are not related to any religion. It consists of prose, plays, grammar as well as the writings of Kautilya, Ardhashastra, Kalidasa, Abhigna, Shakuntalam, and we have some writings by foreign pilgrims and travelers like Indica by Megasthenes, Siyuki by Fahin, which you are going to learn in the coming chapters. Next, secular literature. Secular literature gives you information about the people of that period, accounts of events, foreign pilgrims and travelers who visited India are source of information about ancient Indian history and culture. Next, historical literature. Historical literature consists of autobiographies of the ancient rulers and biographical sketches like Harshacharita. The various sources of history provides knowledge about marvels of the past and inspire us to march forward to achieve greater heights. What we have learned today, children? We have learnt about introduction to history, why study history, prehistory and history, archaeological sources, literary sources which help us to understand and study the past. Children, by this we have completed this chapter. Hope you all understood. If you have textbooks, read the lesson. If not, use the PDF to read the lesson. Thank you, children. Have a happy learning.